You know what I call a room with 100 people?
Well, what's that, Barry?
Honeycomb. Because they're just bees, Colby. They're all bees. 100 people in a room is just bees. I don't know. Like, I just. Oh, man. What's going on, guys? My name is Barry.
This is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This.
Theme music. So we've got a new month, new theme, and I figured I would pick this movie to give us just a huge challenge. We were like, we should mix things up a little bit. I'm like, okay, here we go. We'll do this movie, and we won't be able to follow our usual format because this is...
this is like a well-beloved movie.
Right. Yeah, everybody loves it, but nobody's seen it. That kind of movie.
It's like your favorite director's favorite movie kind of situation, right?
It is.
Yeah.
So actually, Jason Pargin, he's the writer of the book for John Dies at the End.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. So I've been following him on Instagram, and like every day he puts something up, and the man is hilarious and a genius. Like every single thing he puts up, I'm like, my mind is blown. And over the last 6 months, he has recommended 5 movies that he thinks everybody should see. Not one video where it was like, here's 5 movies, but it was like hey, everybody should see it. And then like a month later, it's like, I just saw another movie and everybody should see this, or everybody's talking about this. So the first one is My Dinner with Andre.
And here's a little ditty for you guys, because I know you're like, where's the ditty? It's really hard, but it's just a jingle. It's my dinner with Andre. Inconceivable. Because he says it.
He does. He says
There's
it.
no fucking way he said that.
So when he said that, my brain was like, did he say it in Princess Bride because he said it in this?
Are you saying that
Or
William Shawn got the role because he said that in this movie?
Or is that like, that's his catchphrase? And so he's just like...
Well, no, because William Shawn is also the guy who played Mr. Potato Head, I believe, in the Toy Story movies.
Yes.
See, if it was his catchphrase.
Did Mr. Potato Head ever say inconceivable?
You're gonna, I guess.
Now I feel like I need to rewatch that movie.
All of them. Was it like 4 of them?
Yeah.
I think. Well, yeah, I never watched the last one with the sport.
You're right.
Yeah.
I also did not watch that one.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about Dinner with Andre. Typically, we would have a format where we would go through the plot of the movie, certain events that happen in the movie, because again, we only have like an hour and a half to really talk about movies, but this is not like really your typical type of movie.
Right. So, so basically the long and short of it is Wallace.
Yeah, Wallace, yeah.
Wallace is, he's a playwright.
Yep.
And he's had a couple successful plays, but he hasn't had any in the recent future or the recent past. So he is kind of a little down on his luck. Andre is a former play director.
Yeah, like a pretty famous.
Yeah.
Well known.
And he kind of basically just, I don't know, mentally hit a wall and then just had an existential crisis and had to leave the country and visit Tibet and visit Poland and live in the forest and backpack across Europe and just had to have a change so that he to figure out what the meaning of life is for him.
Yeah, see, we definitely watch this movie through 2 different lenses, right? Because Colby's a white man. Because okay, like I know we haven't really gotten to the topics of the film, but like how about we do like a what's it called, like a view, right? Like that's how you viewed it, right? Like, you know, he's this man who's reached like the peak of his like professional or profession,
Right.
right? He's this theater director. He's all about the arts and all that stuff. Which, well, I will say, I'm sorry, I kept calling him William Shawn. It's a Wallace Shawn. Sorry about that. And like he has like a little ditty, like he has a little self narration at the beginning of the film where like Wallace Shawn is like, "Oh, I'm 9. Oh, at 9, I was thinking about art and music,
Right.
but now I'm 36, and now all I can think about is money, right?"
Yeah.
And but then like Andre doesn't have to worry about that because he's reached the peak of his like profession, and he does go this. He goes on this like he has an epiphany, he has an existential crisis, and then like that's like really valid viewpoints because like if you remove the race from this whole thing, which I'm not gonna make it all about race, but like when you know you could remove all that and it's very applicable to everybody, right?
Right.
But in 1981, I was like, this guy's just doing what rich white guys do, you know?
I no, I'm like when I was watching that part, there was a handful of actors
Yeah.
who came to mind as I can see in the now people doing this exact
Yeah.
this exact
this
thing.
thing. And, like this is like one of those like movies that have been referenced throughout pop culture ever since its like conception.
Right. Yeah. Because it's really interesting. So okay. So you kind of those are the two characters, and so Wallace is like, Andre has gotten weird, so I've been trying to avoid him, even though we used to be friends because he helped me get my first play done, but he's gotten strange since he's done this like spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And so I'm not really looking forward to it, but I feel kind of like
Obligated
to have dinner with him because it's one of those things where I totally felt in my own personal life it was like how many times you talk to somebody that you used to work with whatever and you're like, oh man, we got to get dinner sometime, we got to hang out, and they're like, when? And you're like, well, I'm busy, so I'll get back to you. And like, how many times can you put that off? Because he mentions it's been probably 2 years since the last time they sat down together.
Yeah. I mean, even not in like a professional setting, but even people that you were friends with
right.
a long time ago.
Exactly, yeah.
And you're like, yeah, we should hang out, and then the call just never happens.
Right.
Right.
So then so Wallace gets to the restaurant. He kind of goes to the bar, hangs out for a minute. Andre shows up. They sit down. Now we're at minute 5 of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's an hour and 51 minutes, and the entire rest of the movie is them sitting at their dinner table having a conversation.
Yeah, this is like the grandfather of podcasts. Because that's really what it is.
100%. I mean, like you get something out of the looks. The director does a good job with like camera angles and
camera work and slow zooms,
bringing in like the waiter, making the waiter parts without having the waiter really have any commentary or anything in it. He's still an active part of the movie.
Well, I think like the waiter is like, so like, okay, so like these two people are like a part of like this theatrical group. They're part of the theater world. So
yeah.
So when I was watching this, I was like, oh, this really just feels like a theatrical production. You know what I mean? And like, so like I was like looking at the waiter, and it's like the breaks that he would come in is like what to signify maybe like chapters in this situation or whatever, how you do the story and all that stuff.
Right.
And that's all. Yeah, like that's all I like this movie is like 98% just them two talking.
Right. And then there's like a minute and a half at the end of like Wallace leaving and his final ending narration. Kind of. So, mental monologue kind of. And yeah.
And he has a little, he like, there's like this weird growth, not weird, but there's this growth throughout the whole film because we let's talk about how he starts off. Like Wallace, his self narration is pretty self deprecating,
right?
he's like, oh, I'm this theater director, but I had to bring in some money, so I became an actor. I was like, that's worse.
Right? Yeah, he's like, yeah, because it was what 70s, 80s.
Yeah, like this movie came out in 1981, so it was probably like what, maybe like from 75 on.
So at this point, you're still thinking the economy and everything is uh, mostly like single family or single
Oh,
income
income, yeah,
families. It's not like here where everybody has to work because or else you can't afford your rent.
yeah.
Yeah, because he makes the comment. He's like, yeah, like my wife Dolores, she has to work a couple nights a week as a waitress to, you know, so
Because somebody
has to bring
yeah.
in the money.
But like he's like what he sounds like. I really wish I could just go home to a nice warm meal, but I'm a bum.
Right.
But like that's basically what he's saying.
And he kind of gives the timeline. He's like, yeah, I had to get up by 10 today so I could get to the
the
stationery
post office,
shop and pick up some stationery so that I could write some letters so I could send out
like
some copies of my play.
Yeah, which isn't like a bad thing, just because it's like when you're trying to do something like as far as like art related, you have no structure, so you have to build a structure for yourself.
Right.
But like the way that he spoke about it, it was very like, oh, like I'm doing so much. Like not I'm doing so much, but it sounded like he's like, it's weird. Like I didn't like the way he worded it.
Yes, it felt to me it was like he had an hour's worth of work to do in a day, but he had scheduled it in such a way that it took a full day to do it.
Yeah, and then maybe, and that could probably be more. You could probably attribute that more to like, well, he wants it to feel important,
Right.
because if it doesn't feel important, then his wife might see it as like, oh, you're just like kind of bumming around, like you're writing these plays, you're not getting any acting work.
Right. Right. So like it made me think like my grandparents they were
From Jersey.
yeah, they're retired. I'd go and visit them, like a week, 2 weeks at a time. But they had a neighbor guy who's also retired.
Yeah.
But every morning you'd see him, he'd walk down to the corner, he'd get his newspaper, he'd go across the street to like the little
Diner
thing, get his coffee, and then but it was like on schedule. And like one day it was, like I guess we'll say it was 9 o'clock that he did this every day.
Yeah.
And one day it was like 9:45 and he was like really rushing to get to the newspaper, to get to the coffee. Like he was like, I'm behind schedule. And then he'd go home and then just sit on the porch like the whole day. So there was like no reason to hurry, but there was still that structure that he needed. And it was like, I slept in or something and I have to 9 o'clock is when I get my coffee, and now it's 9:45. I'm running late.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny that you mentioned that. Like we're talking about structure and all that stuff. Is that so Guillermo Diaz from like Half Baked and one of our previous episodes, Party Girl. He actually has like this really beautiful monologue of like I don't know what the show is, but I've seen the monologue where he talks about I think he was like a prisoner of war, and they're like, "Well, describe the hole or whatever, some hole, right, of that he's in," and he's like, oh, "I can't describe it," but then he goes into this really well done monologue of like him saying he's like it was too dark to see, it was like what's it called? He's like, it was like 4x6. I measured it every day because it's important to have a routine. Because if you don't have a routine, then you can go crazy. And like, especially for retired people,
Right.
like, if they don't have like, a lot of people, retired people, I notice get into like planting, like
Yes, do some
botany.
gardening, something, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how Wallace is kind of framing it. He's like, well, I have to have a routine because if I don't have a routine, things won't get done.
Yeah,
which is like pretty well evident. But then it's just like the way he stretches it out, especially for the time, like machismo is very like how Hispanic culture talk about it is like, he has to feel like a man.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fact that his wife now has to work 3 days a week, maybe that's taking a hit on to his ego.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
But like the way that it's funny because like there's very little. You have to really pay attention to the camera work, or else you won't notice it. But like the way that they had framed him in the shot, it's like this big city, but he's like really tiny, and that's how he feels.
Yes, yeah.
And so so like yeah, that whole narration, and like when he gets to the restaurant, he's still dressed up in a suit and tie, because like you've said in previous episodes, you're like, well, you have to dress for the part you want.
Right. And he isn't wearing a tie initially, but he pulls the tie out right when he gets to the restaurant and puts it on to
and
make
it's
sure.
Already a self tie. There's already a pre-tied tie, which, hey, you know what I'm saying? No, what's it called? No, I'm not making fun of it, because I do the same thing.
Right.
I have a tie that I haven't tied in like years, but for job interviews, I'll put that tie on.
And then you just pull it a little too far and it pops out. You're like, no.
Yeah, right. You're like, I had it the perfect length.
YouTube, how do I tie a tie?
But like, you also like notice how out of place he feels in this restaurant.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, because he gets there and they're like, oh, the table's going to be a few minutes, but if you want to wait at the bar for your table or for your guest, and he's like, okay, yeah. And there's like this really awkward walk to the bar. He misses kind of, or like he looks at everybody and everybody's, happy and
well
just
put together.
Right. And he's not.
Yeah.
And his hair is a little messy. It's just,
he's so frumpy.
Right. And then he gets to the bar and he's like, can I have a club soda? And they're like, oh no, we only have,
like
they say something and I looked it up and it's basically like, like
sparkling water,
like a seltzer.
Yeah. It's just in
my head, I was like, isn't that just club soda?
Right. Then just Pellegrino, you know what I mean? Like, all right, man, get that French shit out of here. This is America.
Right. And then he's just kind of like then hiding his little drink until Andre shows up.
Yeah, but then how do we see Andre though?
And Andre shows up. He's very happy, and he's
in pajamas.
It's
no, he's not. He's just very like house clothes.
Yeah. And it's funny because he looks so happy, and he comes in, and the waiter and the bartender are like, "Hey, Andre."
Yeah.
And then he gets to the bar and he sees Wallace and he's like, "How you doing?" And Wallace is like, "I'm doing great. How you doing?" And he's like, "I'm doing terrible." And it's like the guy who looks like he's doing terrible is like, "I'm doing great." And the guy who looks like he's doing great is like, "I'm doing terrible." Like it sets the mood like right immediately, like.
Yeah. So yeah, that really sets like a little bit of the precedent of what this movie is kind of about.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So they sit down, and Andre talks for 40 minutes straight, while Wallace maybe chimes in with a like, "Oh,
right." And it's interesting because Wallace, you hear his mental, and he's like, we've had some like banter, and I've told them about me, and I've told them about my wife, and I don't know what to talk about. So I'm just going to start asking questions because, I feel like that's a way to get through a conversation that's uncomfortable, is just to be like a private investigator and try to figure out the answers. And so he starts asking questions, and he even mentions, he's like, yeah, at first he didn't really, open up, but I asked him enough times that he started talking, and then that's when the camera kind of picks up, and then it's just like you said, it is Andre.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now, if someone talked for 40 minutes straight, I probably would have left. Like, I have to use the restroom. Hold on, sorry. Oh, Andre, I'm sorry. There's an emergency. Because like all the like, so like for this movie, one thing I do have to say about this movie, right? This movie, can you guess? Did you look up how much this movie cost to make?
Oh, it can't be much.
Guess. Let's guess. 1980. Think about 1981. So think about it for the money for the time.
Right. What are we like? 50 or 60,000?
Nope. This movie cost $495,000. This movie was a $500,000 production value.
Whoa.
For that type of cat. Okay, so like it's just a ridiculous amount. It wasn't even shot in New York. It was shot in Vermont. It should have been way cheaper to rent out a restaurant. No, I think they got an abandoned hotel.
That's right. Yes.
To do this in. So why did it cost $500,000? Like, because for me, okay, so like obviously, like I had to like kind of get over the fact that this was going to be a very static shot. As far as like, it's not changing scenery and all that thing.
Right.
The only thing I wish, because movies are a visual format, I wish it was them at least walking through the city. Like just give me some more visual stimulation. Because the things that Andre talks about for the first 40 minutes, I'm like, what is he talking about?
It's right.
I feel like I'm talking to a homeless person.
It's really like, it's almost like character development kind of like talk. Cause it like his later conversations kind of refer back to it.
Yeah.
But it is that's like, the origin story. You're like, oh man, how much Bruce Wayne growing up do I need to just get to the Batman?
I need the Batman. Exactly, right? Like, oh, hold on. Before I don't really want to get in a tirade on why WB should just hire the animated DC department. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you could just start a DC superhero movie without doing origins.
Right.
It's enough.
Yeah.
We're done. But oh man, like hold on. Did you have like some of the topics that you wanted to bring up about? Because
yeah, so I had because Andre changed the subjects so much. So like there was a like a party was talking about like his mother, or like this nurse was doing surgery on his mother.
Oh.
And like the mom comes out and like the nurse is like, look how good her arm is. And it was like, he was like, but she looks like death. She looks, there's like a lot of Jewish reference to World War II in this.
He talks about. Sorry.
And it's the time period. I think, like at this in 1980, you probably still had people. Sounds 100%. Terrible. You had people who were still over the war, or like thinking about the war, the Holocaust. There was still people. There were still survivors telling their stories and stuff. You still had like prisoners, like they were still hunting down war fugitives at that point.
Yeah, all in South America and all that stuff.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of that kind of, if you watch it now and like you're a little bit younger, you're like, my history teacher didn't tell me enough about World War II. I don't know what they're talking about.
He talks about Nazis like 6 times in this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, is he about to start American History X right now? Is he gonna take Wallace outside and curb stomp him? Bite the curb, Wallace.
But it was like, there was a lot of topics that were like that. It was like, he's talking about, so like the whole beginning part, like you said, there's like all this ramble, and he's doesn't think he can teach anymore because he's taught everything that he's wanted to teach. Yeah. And it's not he's not growing. So he kind of makes like one of his friends is in Poland and was like, hey, come teach a seminar for me, and he's like,
Oh,
I'm not going to teach it unless like it's like the audience is 20 women that none of them speak English, and all of them have been in acting but have like fallen out of it, and at least 4 of them play the tuba, and we can have the seminar in the middle of the forest.
no, no. He asked for 40 Jewish women.
40 Jewish women. That's what it was. Yeah.
And I was like, obviously, if you know your history, the whole Poland
Right.
Jewish community, it's a a thing. But yeah, he asked that because it's such a ridiculous ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then the guy's like, "Oh, I do have 40 women.
Right.
They're non-Jewish."
Right. And no tuba players, but every one of them plays an instrument.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was basically like, I was just interested enough to go. And that is like the start of his like this journey to existentialism, I guess.
Yeah. And like a lot of he talks so much, but like this really does warrant like a couple more rewatches. Just because like everything that he talks about does relate to something that's become like prevalent in his life, or it's like his reason of boredom,
right?
Or something
yes,
like that.
and then because watching it once, and you most of the stuff doesn't make sense after the first watch, and then then if you watch it the second time, all of a sudden like you start being like, oh, he's talking about that because that relates to the the Buddhist monk later on that he brought to America that lived in his house, and then that
I don't
has
know
to do,
yeah.
and like you start catching all these things, and the opening monologue from Wallace is just babble the very first time you watch it, but the second time you're like, oh, if you compare his opening monologue to his closing monologue, it's like a powerful difference.
Yeah. And I feel like as much as I want to think that they both had taken away something, like had taken away something from their conversation, I feel like it benefited Wallace the most.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I feel like because like Andre really throughout this whole movie comes off really pretentious. Like his views are views from somebody who is in a privileged position, right?
Right.
Because he's able to go travel to Poland, to Tibet. Meanwhile, being able to still financially support his wife and his kids.
Right.
In East Village, Manhattan. Like one of the most expensive places to live in
right.
all of America till this day. And it's so like it's a lot of the things that he talks about. It's hard to take anything away from them because later on in the movie, like Wallace does have counterpoints to everything that he says.
Yeah. It takes. That's interesting because they talk a lot about being real versus being polite.
Yeah.
And like you just get bored, so you're like just polite, and you're just like this robot, and you just kind of go along. You never say no. You just go along with everything, and like it's like as his stories get more and more ridiculous, Wallace finally gets to the point where he's like, you know what? I gotta tell you how I actually feel. I've kind of been agreeing with everything, throwing in my own little rebuttals and stuff, but I've been agreeing with everything. But I don't understand what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah. I think what the you could really sum all of that up to, because I think Wallace goes, you don't have to climb Mount Everest to enjoy a cup of coffee. Or something like within that realm. It's hard for me to really quote this movie word for word,
Right.
I'm pretty sure there's somebody it's like, oh my God, yes.
Right. Oh, and it's kind of like he's saying that, like, he's like, from that I was taking, like, because he compares, he's like, there's Mount Everest, and then there's the cigar store next door.
Yeah.
And both, in their own way, are equally amazing.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to Mount Everest to see something that's just going to blow your mind. Like, why can't you just enjoy seeing what's next door?
Exactly. And it's funny because I feel like So Community had like spoofed this, right? Danny Pudi, who is on the show, I believe he's recognized to be autistic or on the spectrum
Mm.
because he's a movie person. He's like this. He wants to be a director and all that stuff, but like the mannerisms and all that stuff. And I think later on, and like maybe it's like one of the seasons I didn't get to watch. He got tested for being on the spectrum, so he does like this beautiful, like it's not beautiful, but like very on point uh copy or like rendition of Andre from that.
Okay.
And one of the other characters named Jeff Wingard, he's playing the Wallace role. And at the end of it, he tells Danny Pudi's character, he's like, not all epiphanies are good. Because I'm pretty sure Hitler had an epiphany, and I was like, that's not the greatest for
Right.
history, for humanity.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of what this movie feels like, because I don't know, maybe for me as I was watching this movie, listening to Andre talk, I'm like, I feel like you're trying to push this idea onto Wallace, because I feel like he had this dinner because maybe he saw himself in Wallace.
Yes. Yeah, like at Wallace, you're stuck at a point. So I felt like that too, and then I went and did this great adventure. That it's one of, like, I could see his point of view, but it's not the point of view that you could just sway somebody by telling them. It's a point of view where you have to, you know, like okay, you and I, we've talked about this a little bit. You've been to the Philippines. I have only ever been to the United States. So like worldview
Is very different.
Different because you have been to another country. You have seen, different things than I have.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. And you can tell me those things and I understand.
Yeah, you can comprehend them.
And I can comprehend them, but they're not real to me because I haven't lived them.
Yeah.
And that was a lot I felt of this, is like, Andre's just like, just take what I'm saying at face value and let it change your life, and then you'll be a happier person. And it's just like, no, I'm not going to give up my electric blanket because, life's kind of sucky and I like to lay in bed at night and actually be warm.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, but if you just throw a sheet on you and don't use an electric blanket and you're cold, then it makes you realize, how important warmth is, and it makes you feel alive. And he's like, no, but being comfortable has its own merit. I work really hard and I like to, be able to relax and be comfortable.
Well, yeah, because you also have to think about it too from like a economical standpoint. Like Wallace has to use the electric blanket, because it's so fucking cold in New York during the wintertime.
Right.
What's it called? Andre is doing it from a point of view is like, well, I'm at this place. I need to become uncomfortable again so I could push past this wall that I've hit.
Yes.
It's basically the best way I could really summarize Andre and Wallace's situation, this whole thing. It's a vegan trying to tell a Texan to become a vegan. Like, there's no way, you know what I mean? But that's kind of like how it feels like, because like their positions in life are far vast. They're so different,
right?
That's just the hard part. Is just like that's why I think maybe I hated the Andre character so much, because you have to know you've met people like Andre before.
Oh, right.
They're like, juice cleanse, so good for you. I was like, yeah, but not at $20 a bottle. Like, I love juice too, dog. I'll just make it at home.
Right.
I can get a bundle of apples for $8 and make like 30 bottles of juice.
Right, because you get the Wallace is ashamed that his wife has to work a few days a week as a waitress so that they can pay their bills.
Yeah.
And then Andre is like, yeah, I just like picked up a backpack and just flew off to, to India, and I didn't even have a good time because nothing exciting happened. So, I came home all more depressed than I left.
Yeah, well, like, okay, what was the bit that he had about the Japanese priest? Or the monk, the Japanese monk. He was like talking about, he's like, yeah, I brought him home and then my family loved him.
Yeah, and it was, he stayed with this monk for a while, in
Asia.
in Asia, and then he was like, "Hey, I'm going back to America to see my family. Come with me." And he came. The monk came, and the monk was like great with his kids, even though the monk didn't really like kids, and was like every time like my wife was like, "Oh, I got a kink in my neck," he was like had some kind of like
like
massage to save it, and then he was like, and then he sort of said like, and then the monk was like buying expensive shoes and hiding them under his robe and eating steak when he used to be a vegan, and he started like putting on weight and stuff, and it was like almost counterpoint to what he was like. He's like, you got to go to these other countries and you experience, and then like it makes you want to live again. And it was like, but that monk was in this other country with so many years of like prostration that like of doing these impossible tasks to find nirvana, and then he came to America and was like, oh, I can get these cool shoes, I can eat like the food I want, and I can like kind of still be spiritual, but look how much more fun just being gluttonous is. That's kind of how I took it. Like,
yeah, this movie is very anti-capitalism. That's what I took away from that, because I was like waiting for him to be like, yeah, and then he fucked my wife.
I half expected that.
I was waiting for that, right?
Right.
It almost felt like he was trying to be like, yeah, this monk was doing so well with my family. And I was like, yeah, maybe because you're a fucking absentee father. You're having this midlife, dude, just buy a Ferrari.
Right.
You can start racing, do something at home.
Yeah.
But no.
I mean, like some of the points that he makes, he talks about like, he had like an interesting point about like how many people say that they want to move out of New York.
Yeah.
But nobody ever does. Mm-hmm. And that it's kind of the way the government and the society and the system works is New York is good enough. It's better than any place else, so you don't want to leave it, but it's confining and horrible, so you don't want to stay, but it makes itself into like he was like, I would say it was like almost like it was a Wallace prison, that you mentally trap yourself in.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that too, because like at work, like one of the guys, like he works near me and all that stuff. He's also from New York. He was like born and bred Puerto Rican guy from like I think Brooklyn or the Bronx. And it's funny because we were talking about, because I used to live there too, so we had something in common. And he was like, I was like, oh, so would you ever want to move back? He's like, fuck no. Just because like, after living, if you ever like lived in like a metropolitan city as dense as New York, because like LA is dense as well, but that's more spread out.
Yeah.
But like New York is like sardine dense.
Yeah.
And like, like obviously like the rent is so high, so you're literally living paycheck to paycheck. Like that paycheck, you have to stretch whatever money you have left for anything.
Right. Yeah, you hear about like 7 people living in a 3-bedroom.
Oh yeah, you see like you see like 5 people split like a living room. And it's almost like the Hong Kong situation where like you've seen that, and that's rough, man. That's really rough. So yeah, this movie is very like anti-capitalism. Yeah, it's pretty vicious in New York, because it's like you want to move out because maybe you want more room for yourself. Like I think I was talking to a customer one time, and she was like, "Yeah, my house is like, or like my apartment's like 2.5 a month." And I was like, "That's less than my house. That's way less than my house."
Right.
And I have a two-story house. She's like, "Oh my god, I gotta leave." Oh man. But yeah, going back to the thing is like that's like he's like also seeing this whole like this hypocrisy. Andre is talking about everything that's very like it's endowed in hypocrisy,
Right.
but he's also in that same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, because he's gotten to the point where he's just so rich. I guess
I
so
want that
well
problem.
off that yeah, he needs excitement, and like he comes to these like these weird rationalizations, these conclusions is like that everybody is just so bored with
Yeah.
their life because they don't get this excitement, that they're just kind of robotic, and then that plays with the society, that society can, if you're a robot, then you're basically asleep, and if you're asleep, then you can't say no to the government, and then the government can control you, and so that they push to keep people
Like contained,
Yeah.
confined, a part of the well-oiled machine.
right.
Yeah.
And I'm like in a way that is like it's powerfully true, but like so skewed.
Yeah.
Like, because you get people and you're like, okay, well, I got to go to work so that I can, pay for my house and my food, but then like, and then I gotta get like a little second job to pay for my rent and my phone. And every time I get a little ahead, then the price of something goes up, and it's like, oh, hey, everybody needs a cell phone that does all these things. That's an extra $150 a month. And you're like, okay, well, yeah, I just was getting an extra 150. Now I'm back to zero. And like, it's like the harder you work,
the more the bills.
The more, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Basically, more money, more problems. Biggie said it all in 4 words. Yeah. Also, did you also? I think it would just been easier for Andre to just be like, "I'm gay," because there's a lot of like undertones to like his stories,
Right.
where it's like I think he's gay, and like but it's like 1981. He probably was like maybe born in the 40s, 30s.
Right. And that's certainly not.
Yeah, I mean, women used to get like what's it called, institutionalized for being a lesbian.
Right.
So for him, and maybe this also attributes to the whole like society is wearing a mask. It's almost fucking Joker talk. It's like all the world is a play, and we're its actors. Because it doesn't.
He talks about that too, like about plays being more real than real life.
Yeah.
Is it, and that people don't want to see real life in plays now, so the plays that are coming out are just all like dribble and silliness.
Yeah, it's redundancy and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But but it's also like the way that, when he talks about his family, it's like it felt like the way that he spoke about his family was more he had it out of like necessity.
Right.
Or no, that might not be the word, but just like he just had it because he had to have it.
Right, because that's what he's supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do. Obligation. He had it out of obligation to maintain a societal viewpoint. He's like at the peak of his profession. He's this director. I felt like he could have not. He could have been openly, if he was gay, he could have been openly gay. In the art world, I feel like there's so much more fluidity in that. I mean, this was during the time of Andy Warhol, and he was pretty notorious for.
Right. Yep. Yeah. In that scene, I feel like that was much more acceptable.
Yeah. So I was just like, man, this guy. I don't know who he's trying to convince. Was there any like other topics?
Well, there was also like a lot of interesting things where like he was talking about like he would go and he started having a conversation with the fawn, and the guy was like, Wallace was like, a baby deer? He's like, no, fawn, like the little mythical creatures.
Oh,
and they came out and they talked to me, and they wanted to introduce me to, Pan and
Titania, and Queen of the Fae.
Right, and they were like, hey, but it's not like the the Christian pan. It wasn't evil, and they wanted to make sure I knew that. And it was like, and then he had like the epiphany at church,
Yeah.
where like the 10-foot tall creature just showed up and just stared at him, and nobody else saw it, and he should have been frightened, but he knew that on the inside that this creature was there to be like, it's okay, this is where you belong. And it was like, there was enough of that seeing things that I was also like, oh, hey, when you went to other countries, did you experiment? Were you eating like fun mushrooms?
That's what I was gonna say.
Or, were you doing some peyote with the American Indian? There had to be
Drugs.
Drugs.
Yeah, that whole rant that he was going on about, he's like, I was eating sand and butterflies were coming out of my mouth. I was like, dude, just say you had shrooms.
Right.
Because like, all right, so like, when you watch some things and then like you have like those little intrusive thoughts, or like things that like we said, like we was like, oh, we thought the monk was gonna fuck his wife, right?
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to be like, yeah, this 10-foot thing came out, stared deep into my soul, and then he was beating it. and then I was doused in his honey sack.
I'm 100% with you on the monk and the wife. I did not get the masturbating demon.
And then he covered me in his sap. Oh, like I was in my, because I want, I can sit through like little art house films. This one obviously is a very dialogue heavy production movie and all that stuff. But I was like, I please somebody make a joke. I just wanted a little bit of funny, because like this is categorized as comedy. It's like one of the little tags on it. It's like comedy.
Right?
And I was like, not once did I like. The only thing that ever got me a chuckle was when Wallace said his catchphrase. It's inconceivable.
Right, which wouldn't have been funny because The Princess Bride hadn't come out
Yeah.
yet.
Oh, but do you think people that like watch Dinner with Andre and then watch Princess Bride is just like, yeah, that was amazing? That's a callback to his Dinner with Andre.
I could totally see that. Yeah. If I would have seen this movie first, I would have totally thought that. Oh.
Yeah, like, do you have any other things that he talked about?
So he was, you talked about, like, how we're living, like, the things we do in life is just habit.
Yeah.
And he's like, at that point, Wallace is eating rice, and he's like, yeah, so like, are you eating, like, are we eating because we're hungry, or are we just stuffing our face because it's habit? And that's what we've been programmed to do. Because if you go to these other countries, somebody only eats one meal a day because whatever, that's all they can afford, or that's what their religion says, or the monastery where meals took 2 hours because you had to chew every bite so many times to appreciate the flavor of everything that was in your mouth.
Yeah.
And he's like, it made eating like a chore. It was terrible because I didn't want, lunch to take 2 hours.
Oh yeah, exactly. But it's also like that's what Wallace was saying to Andre, and it's just like, yeah, but you're the capitalism mindset that you hate so much, you're also still a product of.
Right.
Even though like this whole thing took 2 hours, and by the end of the movie they're the only patrons left in the establishment.
Yeah.
Like, this is how it's like a really expensive restaurant, because they didn't kick these people out.
Right. But it's an interesting, and you have the bartender, the bus boy, waiter, and the waiter, and they're all standing there, and he's got like the check in his hand, and it's just, they're just like, Wait till they stop talking so we can bring this over.
Oh yeah, the waiter's like by the door smoking a cigarette, and I was like, that's the
Yeah.
most fucking restaurant thing they could do. And like at that point, you're gonna as a waiter, as a worker, there's like, fuck you, like I'm gonna smoke this cigarette.
Right.
I can't interrupt you. You can't fucking look at me like I'm an asshole. Because especially during the '80s, this is during a time where you could smoke inside.
Yeah.
Oh, what a time! No, just kidding. I quit cigarettes, but like there's times where a cigarette is just so good, and it's usually after a really filling meal. Oh.
And to sort of outside the movie, like it was interesting. I was watching a little bit of the making of and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the ideas for the movie were like the two people that like the two main actors are like actually friends.
Yeah.
And a lot of their meals that they had together, they would like write notes off of like some of their conversations.
Yeah.
And so it's like this is one meal with one long heavy conversation, but it's like really kind of put together of conversations over a year's worth of meals.
Oh yeah, there's no way. And this took a long time to write. That's all I know. But like the thing about it too is like Wallace Shawn is such a good actor.
Yeah.
That like when he's talking and when he's like interacting with Andre, it really feels like a very natural conversation. Meanwhile, I don't know Andre the actor. I don't know his body of work.
Yeah. He is much more into
theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the way that he was delivering everything, it felt rehearsed. Obviously he has like a 40-minute dialogue.
Right. And then I guess apparently the Wallace actor, he was a playwright before he became a
famous actor.
Before he became a TV and
movie
Hollywood actor. Yeah.
Yeah, I love him like as much as like I was harping on like being an actor is like worse than being the playwright. But obviously it's still like the NBA. There's only 400 plus NBA players. Like
right.
There's obviously it really helps to know the people. And he was a part of that scene. That's why like a lot of people like to go to LA and New York to just they got a network.
Right.
Unless you're like Ashton Kutcher. I think he was like from Ohio and he's like became a model, whatever.
Wait, it wasn't like the other one was the guy who played Angel in Buffy.
Oh, David Boreanaz.
Like I feel like he was doing yard work or something, and
in LA though.
Right. Yes. And then what is it?
Harrison Ford. He was a carpenter.
Is it J.J. Abrams?
Yeah.
Was just kind of like, hey.
Oh no, it was not J.J. Abrams. It's Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon was like, hey, you're exactly the kind of person I pictured to be in this part. Would you like to do some acting?
Yeah. It's all about opportunity, right? Like Harrison Ford, he was a carpenter on the set of like Star Wars.
Right.
And Lucas was like, that's beautiful hair. You have those rugged looks that I really needed for this smuggler character I have written for,
Right. Yep.
Which till this day is probably one of the best like bad boys of movie cinema history.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because to reply, oh my God, I'm so mad I'm blanking on this. When someone says I love you, he hits Princess Leia with the reply, I know. My God.
I heard that was
improvised.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford is a bad boy.
Because he's like, that is not. I love you too. That's not what that's not what Han Solo would say.
Yeah, especially
and then it becomes literally like top 5 most famous lines from that franchise.
And that's why I want to find a Star Wars wifey. So like during the wedding, she's like, "I love you." I could reply, "I know." Yeah.
Oh man. He makes like like a interesting comment about how people have to do more and more extreme things to start to feel anything because they've become so numb to life. And he's like, I could imagine in 10 years, people would just pay like $10,000, for castration just so they can feel something. I'm like, oh, I feel like castration would make you lose the feeling in something.
But like he's not wrong though, because look at all these extreme sports that people do.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, right. No, even the people who are like, I'm gonna hang off the side of a building,
yeah,
and take selfies, or
I'm just like, what are you chasing? Like what parental issues do you have that you're like, I'm gonna scale this 100-story building and do a cartwheel on the edge.
right.
And I really feel like, yeah, that's like when he was talking about it, I was like, he's definitely repressed. There's something that's like repressed, has been repressed for so long that like, they do these things, right?
Right.
Because like, okay, like you grew up with you grew up with a pretty good childhood, I would imagine,
Right.
Did you ever wanted to jumps, do extreme sports?
I scuba dived, but like
Yeah.
in a controlled environment, Lake Mead out here, but
Like, okay, so you were a swimmer.
I was a
Right?
swimmer.
Did you ever try diving?
I did try diving,
So like,
but
have you
not
seen,
like cliff diving or high diving. I was like, just like 3-meter board.
Because like they have that one where it's like it's not even up like 20 feet. It's like those like gymnasiums where it's like all the way to the ceiling.
Yeah.
I'm like, what, like no, like you land wrong, your guts are shattered. And then at some point, do you feel like that you attribute that to like maybe because you had such a stable like upbringing? You're like, I don't want to do that.
Yes, but more like I had a stable upbringing, so I didn't want to do that. Not my upbringing was so stable that I need to do this.
Exactly. Because then like I have like a huge fear of heights, obviously. I don't know when that happened because I used to love roller coasters. But I think like the possibility of death, like it was like, I don't want to do that anymore. So when people like skydive and try to talk to me about like, there's this Groupon for skydiving, I was like, first of all, I don't want to do anything that requires a Groupon. Like, why is this business struggling that they have to release a Groupon? But I'm like, no, I can go onto a plane, look down. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yes.
But like again, Andre, maybe like I was putting the whole repression thing to maybe he's like a closeted, or he's like a maybe possible homosexual. That's how I saw it. I mean, some people are gonna be like, maybe email us like, wow, that's really ignorant. And it's like, it's not like I'm saying that in a place of malice, obviously. But like,
right.
Usually when people are trying to find something to fulfill something else, there's something happening.
Right.
Right.
Right. And if you're not traveling the world with your wife, you're leaving her.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, the wife definitely fucked the monk. Now I'm seeing it as like the wife fucked him. Like she's like, oh, you're sticking around. Oh, I bet you haven't felt the touch of a woman. Maybe, I don't know. Because at the end of that whole situation, he's talking about this monk's hypocrisy,
right?
Or like his the destruction of his spirituality due to capitalism.
Yeah,
he is now like someone he had revered as like someone who is like spiritually, mentally free is now like trapped. And it's just like, but then like everything that led before that was like, oh, he's so good with my kids.
Right.
My wife enjoys his company.
Yeah, but it was so much like like the hypocrisy. Like he so like counterpointed himself. Yeah. Like it was just, I totally took it like, you're going to these other countries and you're seeing how spiritual these people are, and it's because it's so different. It's intriguing and fascinating, and you're like, wow, they must know something we don't, because they're living this different lifestyle and they can survive on one meal a day and, you know, eating magic mushrooms that make you want to eat sand and barf up butterflies, whatever. But then you get like, you know, the monk who comes here and he's like, in his head, he's like, whoa, I was doing all this stuff for all these years and I could have been eating, you know, Big Macs
and steaks.
Whoa, it's like I see Jesus when I eat this Big Mac.
You will. Sooner than you'd hope. Yeah, and it's like this is like another thing of like, wow, this is so like, I kind of like Andre, for all intents and purposes. I don't know if I'm using that right again. So it's gonna be like, stop using it. But no, it's very, what he is doing. I always felt like it's very exploitative of like, you know, like you have your own heritage, you have your own culture, like find something within that, you know, like
Right.
maybe because like as Americans, obviously, I think because we're such a melting pot, with so much diversity, but then also America also wants you to be like fucking American.
Yes.
You know, like I know plenty of Filipino kids that never got to learn their language because their parents wanted them to assimilate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so, but like, you know, later on we get to try to like, oh, I want to learn more about my heritage and all that stuff, and it just feels like it's the white guy with the Japanese katanas on his house. You know, you're like, why are you adopting another culture? Look for, you know. And it just felt so exploitative. I was just like, he's romanticizing a lot of things because again, he's trying to fill some hole.
Right. Right. And he's only seeing. I'm like, sure, he's experiencing another culture, but he's experiencing the best. Like he goes to Poland and for this retreat, and like he gets a bunch of theater people, and they go into the forest, and then they all like
Get naked, don't they?
Drink all night long and dance and sing, and then they all get naked and cuddle together
For
and
warmth.
sleep till the sun goes down again. And you're like, yeah, but you're missing that whole part where they have to go back and, you know, harvest potatoes and, you know, fight through the famine and, you know.
Yeah, it's what's it called? Like, it's tourism. You're just touring,
Right.
all these things.
So was it? Is it Daniel Tosh who was like making fun of Survivor or one of those where he's like you're gonna get, you know, paid $1 million if you can survive 3 weeks in a country that already has people living in it. You're like, I only get one bar. Damn you, Miko Piki.
Where's the Wi-Fi? Yeah, I can see this movie for me. It really felt like watching it, whatever. To me, everyone's gonna be like, "Well, you don't really love movies." It's boring. It to me, it's boring. But if you listen to the conversations, take away all the undertones. There's so much. The whole movie is just chock full of undertones. Right. It's a really great conversation piece when you talk to people that have actually watched this movie, especially in today's world. I don't think it's like 100. 1 out of 100 people, maybe you're like, oh, have you seen Dinner with Andre? No, why would I want? That sounds like a porno. Are you talking to me about porn right now? Talk to HR.
Apparently, Family Guy did a little bit on it too, where it was Dinner with Andre, but it was Wallace and Andre the Giant.
Which, if you bring up Andre till this day, people will be like, "Yeah, Andre the Giant." The Simpsons did it as well. Yeah, it's a pretty popular thing, and then I think from a script writing perspective, this is one that's like probably studied pretty heavily,
right?
You know, because how do you hold the attention of people for 2 hours of just two dudes?
Right. No, that, like you said, nobody gets up to pee.
For 2 hours.
There's
Jesus.
no like, let's walk back to the bar, interact with another person for a second. You know, it is
2 hours.
You have a silent waiter who's like basically just like
judging.
Yeah,
He's judging them
he's so
heavy.
judging. But really, like even like when like they make a joke or they make a reference at the menus in French.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know anything, so he's like, what is this? I apologize. I don't know French, and
Someone's gonna be like, "Wow, he knows French."
it's like, my mother is not a, and the guy's like, the waiter's just like, potato soup.
Oh,
It's good.
I actually love that.
And I was,
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
I was like that is the amount of like interaction, just kind of like, it's potato soup, dummy.
Yeah, no, but I love that though because there's like a slight undertone of like you would pick the most boring thing here.
Right.
You don't want the escargot,
Right.
the pigeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a it's like it's a weirdly slight jab at how mundane they want to portray Wallace.
Right. Yeah.
You know, first of all, I've never had potato soup. Have you had it?
I have. Have I ever had potato soup?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I've had potato soup.
It's not a staple in the Philippines. There's a lot of soups I've never had. Potato soup, pea soup, tomato soup.
Oh, tomato soup and pea soup are both disgusting.
But why is it always paired up with grilled cheese? The tomato soup.
I don't know, because people like to ruin a grilled cheese sandwich. So I don't know. There is even a restaurant East Coast called Cheese Boy, and that's what they serve is grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup.
You're like, do you order that and be like, hold the tomato soup?
I know that because I was like, Cheese Boy. Let's look up that because I'm going to use that as, and they're like, oh, that's somebody's already got that. Who's got that? Maybe I could buy it from them. I'm like, oh, it's a restaurant. I'm not going to be able to afford that.
Oh man, yeah. This movie is just chock full of undertones that you have to like. I don't know if I'd say you have to be a movie buff to enjoy this film, but I feel like a lot of people would be turned off after like the 10-minute mark of 10 to 15-minute mark of like, is this guy just gonna talk?
And yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Yeah,
and yes.
Yeah, it was kind of like we were joking earlier. It was like Quentin Tarantino's got a lot of talking chunks in his movie that are like, wow, I can't believe you got away with 20 minutes of like
Bible talk.
Like Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Is like, it's all the talking before the heist and then all the talking after the heist, but pretty much the action part they cut out. Yeah. And like, that was like, watching this, I was like, Tarantino's gotta love this movie.
Yeah, it's definitely like in his top 10 at least. Yeah, it's like Hateful Eight.
Yeah, right. In the cabin, it's all icy out, and they just an hour of talking.
Yeah, and like, what does that say about us when I just, instead of loving Hateful Eight, I like the Adam Sandler rendition. What is it, The Spiteful Seven or something like that? I love that movie.
It's pretty hilarious, yeah.
Just because, like the Hateful Eight, super heavy dialogue, and I'm like watching it in a theater, and I think I fell asleep.
Right. Yeah. So this is without somebody that I revere recommending this, I don't think I ever would have watched it. And if I had just picked it up and started watching some of it, I don't know.
If it wasn't for this podcast,
the mood would have had to been just right for me to power through till it really grabbed you. Like it really ended up grabbing me by the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it takes a while of listening to just nonsensical stories.
Yeah, because like half the time too, you don't even know if his stories are true.
Right.
They could.
immediately. Like by the third story, I'm like, these stories are all tinted by some kind of drug use because these can't be real, but they're real enough that they're
plausible.
not. They don't seem fabricated, but they
exaggerated.
seem enhanced.
Like so like for me, like watching it too, it was just like because I'm such a visual person. I mean, I went to school for photography and all that stuff. Like, I think the best camera work that was in here when he was talking about, I think it was like being buried alive or something.
Right, yeah.
And the camera work is so slight though, but it does zoom into him ever so slowly to give you the feeling of it being claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And I was like, because it's a movie. It's supposed to be a visual format. That was like one of the camera works that I kind of appreciated. Also, like towards the end when Wallace was leaving, it's much more tighter on him.
Right.
He fills up the screen a lot more. Let's talk about the ending dialogue where Wallace.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. That was the change where it was like, even if it was his own ideas of what he used to like and not Andre's ideas, it was he came out of the restaurant, he got into a cab and he was like, I'm gonna treat myself to a taxi ride home. And it was like, at the beginning it was like, so worried about money, and now here it was like, you know what, no, I'm gonna treat myself. And then as they drove home, he pointed out like every store. He was like, hey, I remember when my dad took me here, and this is where, the first place I met my wife, and how every store had a story. And it was interesting that it was like, to me, like at the beginning, it was just, let me go from home to this restaurant, get this over with so I can go back home. And by the ride home, he was like, I'm not just like, I want to go home so that I can be home. It's, I'm excited to get home so I can tell my wife about this crazy dinner. And in that, I'm remembering all the great things about this city and all these shops and all these
memories.
He is seeing the basically, it's like, I don't have to go to Everest
to enjoy this cup
of coffee.
Yeah, and maybe I was like, maybe he was just like, oh, this guy's off his rocking chair, and maybe I was heading towards that way, where right. heading towards this midlife crisis, and that's why I was like, this is why you only get his perspective after the movie, after the dinner.
Yeah,
just because I felt like Andre was going to be so pretentious that anything that Wallace had tried to say to ground him and humble him a little bit, it was like, whatever.
Right.
But for him, he's like, all right, maybe I should enjoy some of the smaller things that I've been taking for granted. Maybe stop looking at the glass half empty and instead half full.
Right.
And go from there. And I was like, I hope that's what what I'm taking away from this is that. Obviously, I before we recorded today, I listened to like two different podcasts talking about it. One was like shitting on the movie, and I was like, yeah. The other one was a little bit like more very retrospective about the whole thing. It was much more in depth with people that are talking about this movie, what they took away from it. It was much more constructive. Mm-hmm. Versus the other one was like, this movie should have been 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Community did it in 20 minutes. Oh man! All right, well, we're coming out late. We're a little bit coming. We're coming to the end of the episode, but we have to do our other segment. We have the high star and the low star. Colby, where you at?
We got a 10 out of 10. A miracle of a film. This film is a miracle. That anybody would even make a film about a little more than a dinner conversation is incredible enough. But the play of paradigms between Shawn and Gregory is such a
I don't know, a German word, tour de force.
a jour de fond, a tour de force, that it creates a compelling crossroads for any astute viewer. This is a challenging flick. Also, be it hereby said that the brilliant and understated performance of Jean Lanier as the waiter should have won an Oscar for Best Supporting Role. Watch it again and see if you don't agree. The old gent passed on 2 years after this film was made, but man, was he great. Thanks, James.
Whoa. And then we have a 1 out of 10. Pretentious and boring. Yes, I do get the attempt at being artistic and clever. Unfortunately, this movie was neither. It was the most boring and pretentious movie I've ever seen. I forced myself to watch it because a friend recommended it. I hoped there would be some sort of enlightening moment or redeeming ending, but it was just never ending drivel from start to finish with no storyline, no climax, and not even a mildly interesting conversation. Andre, who does most of the talking, was simply pretentious and quite annoying with his long, pointless stories. If you ever had to make it through a 2 hour dinner with someone like that, well, then you've already seen this movie. Hard pass on this one.
Yes, I would probably say I recommend this movie to watch with somebody so that afterwards you could discuss.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's like I feel like Siskel and Ebert would have loved
Oh,
this
no,
movie
they definitely love this movie.
because that this is the types of movie that they can banter over
Yeah, man. I mean,
after it was done.
it's two white guys watching two white guys. Of course they love it.
Oh, but yeah.
No, I looked that up. I was like, I had to look this up because I know Siskel and Ebert was like the first movie podcasters. No, yeah, they absolutely love this movie. They're like, they raved. I think they had said this is the best movie of 1981, and I was like, Raiders of the Lost Ark came out that year, so I'd hard disagree.
Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark's pretty good.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's. I think the person you watch it with has to have already seen it, so then he could ask, like, "Oh, what did you take away from this movie?" You know?
Okay.
Yeah, something like that, maybe, because like obviously two people watching this movie for the first time, they're gonna like, I don't know.
That's true too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's. I also believe the guy, what's his name, the guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah.
He's the writer for Seinfeld, right?
Yes.
The guy, the main guy, and I was like,
Larry
ooh,
Sanders.
something like that.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's Larry something, but like he has to love this piece of work because I feel like the Larry David.
Larry David.
Yeah, because I feel like because Seinfeld is just a show about nothing. There's like really no plot, you know,
Right.
and this kind of, and like I understand where the guy's coming from. With the low review, 1 out of 10, there's like no point to this movie, but like the point of this movie is just a conversation between two people, and like what you're not going through fucking M. Night Shyamalan twist during a dinner conversation with somebody.
And they're theater people writing it,
Yeah,
and then they're playing theater people in it.
Yeah.
So, like I could see going to an off-Broadway show
of this.
Yeah. And being like, "Whoa, that was a great play," because you're on stage and you have a much more limited amount of things you could do.
Yeah.
So you don't expect them to be like, car chase and
Explosions.
yeah.
Oh my god! If this movie was like directed by Michael Bay, I would have definitely loved it. It's it's Optimus Prime and what was it Megatron had a dinner with Megatron. Oh man! R.I.P. to the voice of Optimus Prime. I think he passed away like a couple years ago, right?
Oh, did he?
I think so, but that would have been out with the explosions and all that stuff. I feel like I would have loved that. Yeah, I think Peter Cullen probably. Someone's gonna be like, probably Jesus. Are you waiting for him to go away? Oh no, he's still alive. Sorry. Sorry, Optimus Prime.
Well, he's 82, so there's not going to be too much more Transformer movies before they have to actually have an AI do it.
Oh my god, yeah, this movie had like a cartoon. No, but all right, so let's get to our little review section. This is the first time you guys are joining us. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to check out our other months down below. We have Video Game Month, Nicolas Cage Month,
Musical Month, Space Debris Month.
yeah, In Space Month.
Right, we did like a role-playing fantasy movies month.
Oh, right. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
But if this is the first time you guys are joining us, we have reviews are in 4 different sections. We have Stream It, DVD It, Blu-ray It, and the Ultimate Box Collection. Colby, where are you at for this one?
By the end, I really did enjoy this movie, and I feel like it made me think a lot, and I enjoy a movie that makes you think without like being like, I thought about that, and I still have no idea what the ending meant. Because it just brought up a ton of points. I don't know if you're gonna get anything extra Blu-raying this over DVD, but I would. Oh, like you said, if you'd already seen it, it would be fun to watch it with other people and be like, "Hey, what did you think of this? What did you think of it?" I feel like that's the part I want. So yeah, I would definitely DVD this at least. Not just streaming. I'd like to own this so that I could.
So you look like a movie buff.
So I could show it to other people.
You're like, look at me, I'm cultured. But it's like, oh, but is that right next to Sharknado? The duality of Kobe. I probably DVD it as well. I think it's you have to find the right person to watch it with.
Right.
Obviously, like you have to be like, hey, do you want to watch something that's intellectually draining at some points?
Yeah, there's a lot of movies. Like I said, like if you've watched, like a wife and I like to watch about half the movies with her. Yeah, we did not watch this one with her. She would have been like, "What the hell are we watching?
Where's the explosions?" Yeah. I love that tease. Like, where's the explosions? Where's the action? Where's the glistening hunky body I can look at? All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to check out our links down below. We have our Amazon affiliate links where me and Colby are really just trying to gear towards a surf and turf dinner somewhere.
We're getting there. We're getting there. You see, it's up to you guys how much we get to eat while we're there. And we've got our social medias, our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter. Please follow us. Send us some love, some suggestions, some comments, some thumbs ups.
Yeah, we totally, definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. My name is Barry.
This is Colby.
And this is Who Watches This. If you guys want to check out the theme music, it is Lee Rosevere. It's called Arcade Montage. It's on our album, Music Podcast 3, and her Bandcamp is down below.
Thank you.